Well, greetings again. This is Dr. Bill Wyatt, and I want to talk about something in orthodontics that changes people's lives more than anything, just almost overnight, how it changes the way their facial structure looks, where you can advance the mandible, and it's amazing what it does for people's appearance. So we'll just look here at this lady, and I'll be getting up her again some way or another. Here, she came in looking like this, and she had a temporomandibular joint problem, and we had been advancing the mandible just to get the condyle off of the retrodiscal tissue. And this is where most of the trouble that people have with their jaw joint back here. The mandible gets trapped back there, and you irritate this retrodiscal tissue. It's highly vascular. It's where the synovial fluid is made that lubricates the joint, and it also feeds the disc where the joint comes together right here. This disc, it feeds it. So it's a very important part of it, and people have trouble with it, and we would advance their mandible, and then it would get better. And if you hold the mandible there, the neck of the mandible will tilt backward, and the gonal angle in the jaw here will get bigger, and the jaw will just stay out there if they stay there for a long period of time. Now, if they go back and forth, it won't stay there. But if they just bring it out there and hold it there, and it looks so much better that many people will be happy to bring their jaw out there like that, and they want it to stay there, and so they wear something that keeps it there for a while, for a long period of time, and it will just finally stay there. And maybe what happens, it doesn't grow a longer mandible, but where the condyle comes up like this, it will, the neck of the condyle, you bring it out here, and it'll go back like this, and then the jaw can function in there, and the angle at the jaw here, gonal angle they call it, you come in, that gets bigger, and the jaw just comes forward. And so you take this lady right here, and you see where her jaw is. Uh-oh, it's got a long deal here. Let me see. All right, let me go next on here. Looking at her from the side, you can see the jaw is back like that. And then we advanced this mandible and held it out there with a splint, and you put a ramp on a splint, but then you've got to put something for them to chew on back in this side, so that's where you bring this out, and you have fix it where they can't close back again, and then you let the teeth erupt into this part right here and get the teeth to stay there, and then this angle in here will get bigger as you move this jaw forward. This will straighten out a little bit, and the head of the condyle will move backward in this area, and it'll do that. But you have to be constant with it. If you go back and forth, it won't ever stay out there like that. So anyway, we brought her out, and she looked so much better. And this is just the orthodontic stuff we did in correcting her TMJ problem. Now here's 1984. She was biting back in here with these teeth way out front. So we brought the teeth back, lined them up, brought her jaw out here, and she wore something, and then these teeth came in contact back here. When you first go out here, you got to have something over them, and then you leave one tooth open to come together. And when you get this together back here, you take these out and they'll come together also. So we can adjust this a lot orthodontically. Let me go back and I'll erase that. I don't want to leave it like that. But we worked with this lady for a long time. She had a tongue thrust to start. We put these things on there with the little points back there. Stop that. We used a headgear to bring the upper teeth back. And then we brought them back, closed those spaces and everything on it. And here she is in 1988. And this is the class 1 now. She's biting down like that. So these are some things you can do in orthodontics. It makes people just look so much better. And I had an old boy once who was just a nice guy, and he had this wife, and she was not all that pretty. And her jaw was back, and I got in and worked on her and got her teeth out to the front, and she just looks so much better. And I'll be darned if she didn't run off with another man after she got to looking better and left this poor boy who had paid for correcting her jaw. So if your wife looks that way and you go and spend money and get her fixed up to look better, just remember she might go somewhere else. So you have to think about that. That was kind of a sad joke for this poor guy, and I felt sorry for him, but I couldn't have anything to do with that. We made her look better, and she took off with somebody else. And I don't know, that reminded me of an old joke about the French people down in Louisiana. They talk funny and everything else. And there's a guy named Boudreaux or something, and he and his party, his friend, went to town one day, and they didn't know what elevators were, and they were standing there in this building, the elevator opened, and this rather homely looking woman got on the elevator, and it went up there and stayed for a little while, and came back down, and nobody else was getting off. And they were standing there looking at it, and it came down, and the door opened, and this beautiful woman walks all out of the elevator. And this guy turned to his friend named Boudreaux, and he said, "Boudreaux, you ought to bring your wife down here and let her go through this thing." I thought that was something where they changed the look of this person in the elevator. It was fun. But we changed their looks in orthodontics, and the woman ran off with another man. So you have to be careful what you do there. But here's this lady. Here, years later, I've got some pictures of her after she got older, and we corrected that. She had a bridge in there, and her condyles moved forward, and then the neck of the condyle, if you bring it out here, the neck of the condyle will change, and it'll go back and start functioning back in here, but it takes some time to do that. And it did it to some extent, and we got it back. And let me run through this. There's a whole bunch of pictures on this case, which if you wanted to really understand it, you could go look at these, but I'm going to run through them real quick. And so that's where her teeth were when we started, and there's where we brought them up to that point. And she just looked so much better. And she didn't run off with anybody else. And that's something you can do in orthodontics that pulls the jaw forward. And we were bringing these jaws forward on people to keep from hurting the joint back here, and they were looking so much better. I just decided that we would bring people forward, jaw forward, just to make them look better, regardless of whether the jaw joint was giving trouble or not. And you can do that. So that's something you can do in orthodontics, in making facial structure look so much better. And here we watched her for several years. I had her back in, and there was the things that she wore a splint during the daytime, and it kept her jaw out there. And at night, she put this one with a big ramp, and she couldn't get her jaw back with that one like that. And their facial structure will change if you can keep it out there all the time. It will change, and then it won't go back after that. So here was what we had her wear till we got that where it stayed out there. Now, this is something that's an aesthetic thing. It is strange how you can make somebody look better and they will function better. People that their teeth looked terrible, and we would go in and straighten their teeth out and fix them up, and then they started taking care of their teeth better because they were proud of them. They could smile and people see them, whereas before they looked so bad people wouldn't smile. And you get the teeth looking better, they smile, look better, and they just get to where they just look that way, and people can. Sometimes you do this and they will do different things. I had a lady one time whose teeth were terrible, and she was working in a cosmetic counter in a big department store, and her teeth had big spaces and all that, and I got her looking real good. And when she looked bad, she had a wonderful personality. She made friends even though she looked bad. And I got her looking better. Looking real good. This woman's personality changed. In other words, she did not lean over backwards to be kind and nice to everybody. She was herself, and she wasn't near as nice a person when she looked pretty as she was back when she looked bad. So that's something you have to think about, something that people compensate for a bad looking situation by changing their personality, and you make them look good, and they say, well, I look fine, I don't have to lean over backwards to be nice to everybody. So it's something that people change when you change them. So these are some things that make orthodontics interesting and made it such a good thing for me, myself, to be able to help these people, and many of them look good, and they made better in life than they would have otherwise. And I thank you for watching, and I hope if you're a young person and want to study orthodontics, that you'll think about going to the American Orthodontic Society there, and we can train people to do that. So thanks again, and I'm going to say goodbye.